Hey guys, it's Dr. May. How are you? Today I wanted to do a little bit of a mindfulness extra for you and introduce you to what they call Tonglen meditation. So they don't specifically talk about this in DBT. So if you haven't heard about it otherwise, today's your lucky day, my friends, okay? So it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of knowing what it is and what it involves, okay? All right, there we go. All right, Tonglen meditation. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to give you a little definition and background, and then I'll give you some basic steps on how to do it, okay? All right, so what is Tonglen meditation? So if you look at that picture, it kind of illustrates what it's all about, because you're going to be breathing in a certain experience and exhaling a different experience. So it's very tied into your breath. But it literally in Tibetan means giving and taking, right? So think about your breath. There's like a giving when you exhale and a taking when you breathe in, right? So it's about that exchange, okay? So tong means giving or sending, and then len means receiving or taking, right? So you put it together, giving and taking, okay? It also kind of involved exchanging self and others. So there's this interpersonal interconnectedness component as well, which you'll see soon, okay? All right, so next, just a little bit more background. So it basically does involve mindfulness. That's why I'm putting it as part of our mindfulness extras, because you have to be aware of your current experience and aware of the experience of interconnection, okay? So what is mindfulness? Basic definition: fully awake and embodied awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, right? So we have to be tuning in to our full current experience, emotionally, physically, and our interconnection, which is also part of our wheel of awareness, so to speak, okay? If you remember from my other mindfulness videos, there's three main pillars of mind that are involved in mindfulness. So focused attention, which is paying attention to something specific on purpose, which would be focusing in on your emotional experience. Open awareness, because we're creating open space for that experience in Tonglen, okay? And kind intention, because we're also going to be sending out compassion to ourselves and others, okay? So it really combines all three in a way, okay? So you get some kind of good bang for your buck with Tonglen. Okay, so it's also about compassion, right? And compassion and self-compassion are often big parts of mindfulness, right? It's part of that kind intention part. So compassion literally means to suffer together, right? So when we realize we're not the only ones suffering, there's a million people right now that are feeling just like we're feeling when we're suffering, right? So we're literally suffering together. And when you experience the suffering of another person, you feel inspired to want to relieve that suffering. And when you really tune into the suffering of yourself, you also feel inspired to want to relieve your own suffering. So Tonglen really combines both of those kinds of things. So the suffering and the wish to relieve it, okay? It's also about our interconnectedness, as I was starting to say before. So remembering that, you know, there's many people right now that are feeling just what I'm feeling. And just like we all, you know, want to be free from suffering, you know, that's something that we have in common, right? So we suffer together, but we also want to be free from suffering. And we could be interconnected in that realm, okay? I found a nice little quote online about interconnectedness I wanted to share with you. So it says, it's only a matter of time before consciousness reaches a level of interconnectedness where each living soul is seen and felt as part of ourselves, thereby caring for the other as oneself. Full realization will bring unity, okay? So it's about empathy, it's about validation, it's about feeling each other's pain, embracing each other's joy, right? And the more interconnected we are, the better off we are, okay? All right. Another thing in terms of if you're a DBT person, Tonglen is kind of like an opposite action in a lot of ways, right? Because our usual response to suffering, for example, or pain, is to push it away or avoid it, right? We want to get away from it. We want to, you know, escape the feeling. Sometimes we engage in target behaviors to get rid of the feeling, right? We're kind of afraid of it, right? So the opposite action in Tonglen would literally be to take it in, to breathe it in, okay? Wow, instead of bracing myself against pain or holding my breath to prevent the pain from coming in, I'm actually going to relax and create an open space and breathe it in. Wow, that's pretty opposite, pretty radical, right? It has to do with a little bit of radical acceptance too, actually. Um, and also willingness, right? You have to be willing to breathe it and take it in, okay? Because you may not really want to. Even with joy, right? So let's say, what's wrong with joy? Well, what's the problem here? Well, sometimes we don't want it to end. Once we have it, we want to hold on real tight and we don't want to let it go. And we don't want the experience to end, right? And when it does end, then we suffer. So the usual action for joy is to hold on to it, or maybe even selfishly keep it to ourselves, right? Because I'm afraid if I share it, if I'm in a scarcity mindset, I'm going to let go of it and I'm going to not have enough for myself, right? So Tonglen is saying, no, if you're feeling good, share it, spread it around, and your joy will actually increase. Have that sense of abundance, right? So that's kind of opposite sometimes too, all right? Who knew all this was involved in Tonglen, right? Okay, so I'm going to go over some basic steps. It's really not hard, okay? But you just have to be aware of what they are. So the first thing is sit down as if you're going to do a regular mindfulness practice, right? So you settle into your seat, have a upright but comfortable position, close your eyes if you choose. And as you breathe in and out, just really imagine like a spaciousness, right? You're breathing into a vast space, like the big sky. And you can even imagine breathing into your heart and imagine your heart being really spacious, like there's enough room for whatever you're experiencing, right? That your pain or whatever it is you're feeling could fit very easily into this big space that's going to embrace that pain. Okay, so first you're just going to create this sense of spaciousness. So the breathing in spaciousness and even breathing out, they suggest imagine like breathing out almost in a 360 view. Like you're going to breathe out into a vast space all around you, not just breathing out here. Okay, so just mentally create that. All right, so that's step one. Do that for as long as you need. Step two, so maybe you could even want to do this before you start the practice, but you could do it in the middle too. You could start exactly where you are with whatever you're feeling. So you may want to just kind of identify whatever it is you're feeling or whatever the pain happens to be. All right. And the idea is not to just stick with your story about pain and keep telling yourself that story. It's kind of to drop below the story and just experience it, right? Just be with the feeling, be with the physical sensation. And as you breathe it in, you're just gonna be with that pain, okay? Another variation is you could do Tonglen for another person or group of people. Like let's say there's people right now that are suffering from COVID-19. You may not be, but maybe you know somebody, or maybe you just see it on the news. And let's say you wanted to do a Tonglen for all the people suffering from COVID-19. So whenever you breathe in, you're gonna be breathing in the pain and they're suffering for them, okay? Or if you're going through something, let's say you just broke up with your boyfriend or something, you're gonna breathe in all the experience of your own pain, all right? But first you just have to identify what the pain is, all right? Next, okay. So this is a great little illustration that I found on Google image search, right? So first we're gonna be breathing in the pain, and they say to imagine it like thick black smoke, right? So it's this big, heavy, cloudy, musty kind of thing that you're breathing in, okay? And once it comes into the spaciousness of yourself and the space that you created in step one, you're gonna transform or transmute that pain. You're gonna be like an alchemist, turning lead into gold, okay? So you breathe in the pain, but then before the breath turns around, you're gonna transform it. And as you breathe out, you're gonna breathe out healing and compassion and relief or whatever it is that you or the suffering person needs, okay? So slow down your breath and just imagine that happening, right? So you're breathing in the stress, the suffering, whatever it is, and then you're breathing out relief and relaxation and compassion, okay? And you just slowly keep repeating that process, okay? Like that cute little Buddha in the cartoon. Okay, so that's the main thing. And you could just stay with that for a while, all right? The next thing you can do is universalizing. So this has to do with the interconnectedness I was talking about. So now you could broaden the whole thing. So as you breathe in, you're not just breathing in the pain for yourself, you're breathing it in for yourself and all the people right now on this earth that are feeling just the way you're feeling. So if you're feeling grief, for example, you're going to imagine all the people in the world with grief. And you're going to collectively breathe in for everybody, breathe in the grief for everybody. And then you're going to transmute that grief for everybody. And as you exhale, you're going to imagine exhaling out relief and compassion and healing for all the people that are feeling grief right now, right? So we're breathing it in for everyone together, and we're breathing out healing energy for everyone together, right? So that kind of gives you that feeling that I'm not alone and that, we're all in this together, so to speak, okay? Make sense? All right. And you could stick with this part for as long as you would like. Okay, so here's another illustration I found too, in case this helps, right? So the black smoke on the left, like, so whatever the emotion is or the suffering is, you're going to breathe that in like the black smoke, and then you're going to breathe out whatever healing energy you feel would be appropriate, right? So I just want to give you a few more visuals just to get that clear, okay? All right, so there's another twist, okay? So this Tonglen for positive experiences. So just like we talked about the opposite action for joy before, right? So let's say you're having a great day, all right? Sometimes we do have a good day, right? Or maybe a medium day. And so if I want to do Tonglen, I can still start exactly where I am. So let's say I'm that woman in the picture, and she looks very content, maybe she's listening to some meditation track or something like that, or a guided meditation or some mantra music or something like that, or whatever it happens to be. And she's like, I'm feeling really peaceful today. So she's going to decide to breathe in peace of mind for herself and for whoever else needs it, right? Breathe in her own peace of mind, and then exhale it out and send the peace of mind she's feeling to everyone who needs it in the world, right? Maybe you could start small, just breathe it out for yourself, or expand it to the people you know, or expand it to everyone, right? So I'm going to share this positive experience through my Tonglen practice, right? So I'm going to really take it and internalize that great positivity instead of just letting it slip by like we often do. So this is kind of like the heal skill, right? And then when I breathe it out, I'm going to share it, right? So instead of clinging, I'm going to come from a place of abundance and that spaciousness, and then spread it out. Imagine it, healing other people, and really take in, like, imagining people benefiting from this healing experience you're giving them, okay? All right, so this is just, want to share it. This is Pema Chodron. She's a Buddhist nun who's American, but she's, become a Buddhist, and she's very pleasant to listen to. She has some YouTube videos on Tonglen. She written about Tonglen. I really like her a lot, so if you ever want to check her out, she could do some good guided practice with you, okay? But certainly, try it on your own too, why not? Okay, so that's my little Tonglen intro. I hope that makes sense to you, and why not add it to your meditation repertoire, right? Practice mindfulness with it today. All right, so have fun, good luck, all right, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye everybody.